Hello, welcome back to the classroom. Today we're learning about the Stegosaurus, and he's a fascinating creature. And please say the word Jurassic. Yeah, just go ahead and say it out loud. That's us practicing our vocabulary. So he lived during the Jurassic period, the late Jurassic period, 150 to 156 million years ago, primarily living in Western North America. Now here you can see he has two rows of bony plates, which made him look extra big, kind of helps scare off any predators. And predators are the animals that would like to hunt him. And there you can see those bony plates. They would go in like alternating rows. And he would use those for body temperature regulation, kind of absorb some energy from the sun during the day, cool them off at night. And when he got extra hot, they would kind of flush. They'd kind of turn a little bit reddish pink because of, you could see the blood underneath. And that's how it would help cool them off. And also say the word hind. Yeah, his hind legs, the back legs were a little bit long, or they were longer than the front legs. So he needed that long tail for balance. And yes or no, do you see those spikes on that tail? Do you think he's able to use that for defense? Yeah, that was one of his main weapons to protect himself. But what do you think? Yes or no? Did the Stegosaurus have a big brain? I'll tell you what, dinosaurs don't have very big brains, but his was extra small. His brain was only about the size of a walnut, which is really small for a 4-ton dinosaur. And can I tell you something silly? For some reason, paleontologists once thought he had a brain in his butt. They thought he had like an extra brain. They couldn't figure out where it went and how many he had. They thought for a second he had 2 brains, but nowadays we're like, no, he just had 1 small brain. And the Stegosaurus means roof lizard. So please say roof lizard. Yeah, because Stegosaurus is a Greek word, and that's what it means, roof lizard. And he's found in the United States of America. And he just loved to eat all the plants that were around. So he would go through the forest. He had to be careful though with that big wide body. Sometimes it would be hard to get through all those trees. So sometimes he might knock them out of the way. And please say apex predator. Yeah, and an apex predator is the best of the best. So the Allosaurus, who is an apex predator, would often try to attack the Stegosaurus. And the Stegosaurus would use those spikes to defend himself. And those are called tail spikes. So if you could say tail spikes. He also had tall spikes on the back to keep predators away. So right here, you can see people in the video. Do people live at the same time? No, so we got to be careful when we watch our videos. But that's how big he is compared to a person. Just had that small head, tiny brain, large, flat, bony, triangular plates all along his back. And his tail was pretty heavy though, but he was able to whack it, and he would be quadrupedal, walking on 4 legs. But do you think he was a fast runner? Do you think he was fast? What do you think? I'll tell you what, show me 5 fingers. Yeah, he only went a maximum speed of 5 miles an hour. And he had 17 plates along his back. And they think that they were attached to the skin, not the skeleton. And the largest plates could be 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide tail spikes, could be up to 3 feet in length just for one of those spikes. And he would, when he would eat, he would also eat some rocks. And many other plant-eating dinosaurs would do that of the Mesozoic era. And he did that so those rocks inside would help mash up the tough vegetable matter in that big, huge stomach. And we think he was cold-blooded, possibly swallowed those rocks because he had such a small brain and wasn't really smart. But it would also aid in some digestion kind of crushing up things. So here you can see his skeleton. He had ribs. We have ribs too. That protects our heart and our lungs. But what do you think? Do dinosaurs have ears? Yeah, they do have ears. They're just little holes on the side of his head. So he can hear. Also say the word ultraviolet. Yeah, ultraviolet is extra colors that we can't even see. So he had excellent vision, great hearing. So his two hind feet would help him like dig, well, the girl, it would help her dig a little nest to lay her eggs. And the hungry Allosaurus would come and try to attack the Stegosaurus, but the Stegosaurus would put up a fierce battle. And here you see more of the skeleton, such a large back leg bone. And that's the femur, that's a leg bone. So inside you can see his skull. And a lot of times you'll see some holes. And the holes kind of help, whether it's an eye socket or for his nostrils, his nose holes. But the larger the holes are, the lighter the skull is. So he had a medium weight, and you can see his teeth right there. And those teeth were made for grinding up his food. So sometimes he would eat mosses, ferns, but what about fruit? Do you think he'd ever eat fruit? Yeah, he would. And we found some fossils in Western North America. And recently, we even found them over in Portugal. Now, a fully grown Stegosaurus was 30 feet long, 14 feet tall, and weighed as much as 5 metric tons. So the Stegosaurus would roam the earth during that late Jurassic period. And the T-Rex lived during the late Cretaceous period. So they came, they never lived together. The T-Rex was one of the last known dinosaurs to be made. And so they never would fight. But what do you think? Do you think the T-Rex would win? Yeah, the T-Rex probably would win if they were around at the same time. So you didn't have to watch out for the T-Rex, but this 4,400-pound creature was just slow moving, pea-brain plant eater that fought back vicious predators. Huge, sharp, spiked tail. A lash from this dinosaur's tail could be fatal because these are 3 feet long. Now, the spikes that made up its tail were just deadly. And since he was a plant eater, we think he most likely used the spikes only in defense of himself and the young. So he would protect his babies, and his legs were thick like an elephant, built to carry massive weight. The front legs were shorter, allowed the dinosaur to graze. Can you say the word graze? Yeah, that just means like pretty much eat all day. So he would graze vegetation easily along the ground. But he sure was slow moving. And what do you think? Do you think he liked cold weather? I'll tell you what, he liked the nice warm weather. It was probably a little bit humid. And he could weigh as much as an American car. And he is one of the most famous dinosaurs. And he's actually Colorado's state dinosaur because in 1876, we found the first Stegosaurus fossil over in Colorado. And there they are just walking across. Now remember, people didn't live at the same time. We came many, many years later. But what do you think? Do dinosaurs need to drink water? Yeah, so they'll often be by the riverbeds to come and take a drink of water. But they sure had to watch out for predators at that time because they'd be distracted. So scientists are kind of wonder how he survived as long as it did because of how small that brain was. Only about an inch long. And at one time, like I said, they thought he might have had 2 brains because he had a hollow region around its tail to control the back of its body. So we had to do some more research. So sometimes the things that we find out We got to keep researching because when I was a little girl, we didn't think that dinosaurs had feathers. And now we're starting to realize, oh, I think they did. So not all of them, but there you can see just how the body moves and those plates would be wiggling. And he was just so slow moving. So please say the word hatchling. Yeah, and a hatchling's a baby dinosaur. But what's cool about dinosaur eggs is the eggs we eat for breakfast are oval, but dinosaur eggs are like a perfect ball almost. But the mom definitely couldn't sit on those eggs or she'd crush the up and coming hatchling. So in size comparison, would you guys want to stand next to one? Now, he's not really a meat eater, so he's not really going to go after us to eat us, but he's a wild animal. He'd probably be a little bit scared of us. He might whack us. I wouldn't want to stand next to him, so it's kind of good they're not around anymore. But they went extinct when a 6 to 9 mile meteor or asteroid just crashed into the earth started to quake, volcanoes started to erupt, and guys, with all that volcanic ash and dust in the air, could the sunlight get through? No, so all the plants and animals started to die. He just didn't have any food. Plus it got pretty cold, and he just uh, wasn't able to regulate his body temperature. But also say the word solitary. Yeah, and solitary means to be by yourself. So do you think he was solitary? Do you think he spent most of his time alone? Well, we think he did. He probably did not live in a herd. Maybe he would live in a small group. And his mouth was kind of cool because he had cheeks that would give him his ability to chew his food. He could kind of stuff his face like chipmunks do, and then just kind of get it when you wanted it. So when we find the fossils, are the fossils always perfectly put together? No. So we have to, as paleontologists, we have to put the bones together and try to figure out which one goes where. So it's always good to practice doing puzzles. And what's cool is if you go to a museum, sometimes you might see a Stegosaurus. And also when we're doing our fossil hunting, we have to make sure there's no other bones from other animals mixed in. Otherwise, it'll turn out to look like a completely different creature. So they took their time, put it back together, and you can see those tail spikes. So the Stegosaurus, those spikes would kind of blush when it would flush with blood when he got too hot. And footprints of the Stegosaurus say that they might have traveled in family groups just because of the footprints that we found. And those are fossils too when they're footprints. And just the way that they had the smaller Stegosaurus feet, the larger ones for the dad and the mom, and just by the patterns of the footprints, we could tell that they sometimes might stay together for a while. And you guys did a great job. This is one of the most fascinating dinosaurs that I know of. So what do you guys think? Can you comment in the class section on what your favorite part of the Stegosaurus is? So there's your trophy for doing a great job today. And I can't wait to see you guys again soon. See you next time. Bye. Have a good day.